Well, it's now the first day of August, which means it's Valley Fever Awareness Month, and the Valley Fever Institute at Kerr Medical is doing a few different fundraisers to raise awareness for this disease. And this morning, I have Dr. Rasha Karan joining us. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Good morning, Stacey.
Okay, so for people who are not super aware of Valley Fever, before we get into the events and fundraisers, let's talk about just what Valley Fever is in general.
So Valley fever is a type of pneumonia. It's one of the most common causes of pneumonia in Kern County. It's caused by a fungus that lives in the soil of our area, and so we inhale the fungus, whether it's due to a dusty weather storm or after disturbing the soil or digging or construction, we can get that infection.
So does that mean it's not more common during a certain time of year? It's more just what's going on around it?
It is more common certain seasons, and that's the windy weather, dusty season, like fall, especially it is fall. And it's more common after, constructions, earthquakes, etc.
Yeah. And is there anything people can do to protect themselves from it?
Yes. We can be aware of the fact that this is how we get it, so protect ourselves from inhaling the spores, such as staying indoors if there's a dust storm, staying away from construction zones, or wearing a mask or covering when we see dust coming or we think we're going to be exposed.
Yeah. Is there any symptoms people should look out for and say, oh, maybe I need to get checked for Valley fever if I have X, Y, and Z?
Yes. The symptoms are the same for any other respiratory infection, so fever, headache, chest pain, cough, and sometimes rash. So it's really not easy to differentiate the Valley fever from any other respiratory infection or pneumonia. So the clues would be if your symptoms last more than 10 days or you get a rash, you really want to think Valley fever. And keeping in mind the test can be negative. So if someone's symptoms do not get better with the first course of antibiotics, it's a good idea to do the testing again and again. It can take up to 8 weeks or 2 months for the test to become positive.
Wow. And that's something I feel like really important to know, because I've talked to a lot of people who actually don't know much about Valley fever, but like you said, it's pretty common in this area, right?
It is very common. 1 out of 3 people who have pneumonia here actually have Valley fever pneumonia.
Wow. And a lot of them just go undetected?
Undiagnosed, yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's talk about a couple of the events going on. So I know there's some things, so if you just want to get into some of the things going on.
Yeah, so our local business, Flaming Skewers, is kind enough to help us out, and I'm going to read it to get it right here. So August 1st to 7th, if you make a $10 minimum donation at KernMedicalFoundation.com, or valleyfeverinstitute.com, you'll receive one free chicken bowl, whether shawarma or kebab, with a special with a proof of donation at any location. And August 8th, 10% of all their proceeds will go as donations for Valley Fever Institute, which is really generous of them.
Yeah, I love when things like this go on, because you get benefits from things while still helping a good cause. So it's
really
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, was there any, I don't know, I feel like, is there any treatment for Valley fever? I feel like that's something that a lot of people either don't know or are concerned about. Like, okay, if I get it and I'm sick for 2 months, is there any kind of treatment to make me feel better?
Yes, there are treatments, for sure. It's not the same antibiotic that treats the usual or bacterial pneumonia or any other infection. So it's a special antibiotic, but there are treatments. We can treat it.
Well, so that's some good news, at least, when talking about Valley fever. All right, well, those are some great events going on. Thank you so much for being here and teaching us about something that is really important for our community to know.
Thank you, Stacey.
Of course. And stick with us. Coming up next, we'll talk about our favorite part of the week, Pet of the Week. Nicole.